Hi, and welcome to segment 8 of our 12-part series, Focus on You. And today we continue to look at how your thoughts become things. And as promised, I present to you tips for success. Yes, we have established that our thoughts influence every aspect of our daily lives, and therefore, what we think is what will be our experience. We have also established that the influences on our thoughts come from two sources: external and internal. The external sources we refer to as socialization processes. And in our socialization, we are programmed to think and believe that life takes a certain path. But we have also discovered through the second influence, which is internal, that we can consciously select our path and develop habits of thoughts that will lead us down the path of success. The greatest influence, however, is the external. And why is that? From birth, we have been guided along the path of life. We've been told this is right, this is wrong, this is good, this is bad, this is beneficial, this is harmful. And so we have developed thoughts that cause us to become creatures of habits. We are also inclined to judge without examining or exploring or analyzing what is before us. Instead, what we do is we refer to that which we have seen before. And where does that lead us? Sometimes it is very, very useful because it saves us the hassle of having to sort out the pros and cons of new situations. However, it could be detrimental and deprive us of new experiences and successes. So, what does that mean? It means that we must consciously, yes, consciously determine whether we will draw from the past or whether we will create our own new experience or reality. Let's take a look at what happens when we draw from the past. When we draw from the past experience or the things that would have been handed on to us as truths or the preferred way or the guaranteed way of doing certain things in our lives. For example, we are walking down the street and we encounter an individual who is a complete stranger. We don't know that individual, but depending on their external appearance, we determine, oh, there goes somebody interesting, or there goes somebody I should avoid. And how do we make that decision? The person that we regard as interesting is perhaps well dressed, well spoken, has a smile, and is able to convince us that they have what we desire. So perhaps we would say, that's an example of what I would like or who I'd like to be. On the other hand, we encounter someone who is not so impressive in their external demeanor. And we think, we give thought, and we're like, well, I don't know. It could be good or it could be bad. And by default, we choose to go with that which resembles the image that we have in our minds about success or the path that we would like to take, and we opt out not to take the path of the less impressive individual. However, we decide, okay, let's examine the individual who's impressive. And when we get in that environment and we begin to hold a dialogue, we discovered the thoughts are different than we expected. The expressions are nonsensical. They make no sense at all. And then there are some deviations, there are some calculations, there are some selfish traits that are exhibited as we continue to dialogue with the individual. And then we decide, okay, no, that's not for me. Another person might decide, yeah, he got some craft. I think I can go with that. Okay, that's case number one. On the other side, the not so impressive individual, we move over and we decide to have a dialogue with Mr. Non-Impressive. And as the dialogue proceeds, we discover, wow, he is deep. He has a heart. He is so intelligent. He has a vision for the future. He is creative. He is able to move and guide me along the path that I can become successful. But then there is a third individual, some distance off, ragged, not well dressed, looks impoverished, and even looks as if they have a tendency of criminal intent or to harm others. And we tip past, but the individual draws us to them. Hey, hey, hey. They calls out, and we ignore them and swiftly walk by. Then later in the evening, we are watching the news and we discover that there was somebody on the street that we passed that was giving away investment ideas free of charge, giving out scholarships, telling individuals. But this individual looked sinister. They looked unkept. They looked as if they would harm if allowed to. Those three scenarios give us an idea of how varied in our experience we can encounter other individuals. So it tells us of the continuum of life, of extremely impressive to extremely non-impressive, with a range of individuals in between. And they all have an impact on our thoughts, on our responses, on our choices. And that is the foundation from which we as individuals launch our life journey. The judgments that we made regarding those three individuals are stemmed or grounded in what we would have been taught in our homes, in the school, in the church, in our social exchange. And therein is how we make our life choices, and therein is how we either gain or lose out on opportunities. What is in operation is that when we make our choices and we move forward with them, we look back and we decide, oh, if only I had gone with character number 3, I would have had everything. But instead, I chose to waste my time with character number 1, who impressed me, but at the end of the day, he was useless. So what does that say to us as it relates to making choices in life? Sometimes the choice that we make leave us feeling guilty that we did not make the right choice. But is there a need for guilt? Okay, guilt is natural. And if we feel guilty, we do not wallow in our guilt. We get up and we say, next time I will engage my senses and I will rely on my intuition. Yes, we have an internal guide that many of us do not listen to. Oftentimes, in retrospect, after the fact, we find ourselves saying, if only I had listened to my mind, something tell me to stop when guy number 3 called me. But because of what I heard about people of that appearance, and when I decided, hey, he don't look like he have anything to offer me. But guy number 1 looked very impressive, so I spent a little time there, only to my dismay. And then there is a sense of shame. So shame that I was so stupid. I allowed the appearance of guy number 1 to take me down a path, waste my time, when I could have been dialoguing with guy number 2, who was a fairly good guy, or even guy number 3, who had that bag with everything that I desired. So, how do we overcome misjudging others by outward appearance, or being carried along the wave of external labels? It is very important that we take control of our own lives. Our thoughts become things that are useless, things that are beneficial, and things that are highly significant and can take us down the path that we desire to go. But we must avoid judgments. External judgments can lead us down the wrong path. We can get to where we want to be quicker if we were to engage actively in some very critical life skills. Okay? Skill number 1, you must be a deliberate thinker. You must examine explore, investigate, analyze, and then form a conclusion based on the facts that are presented to you. Never judge a book by its cover. The three scenarios presented are books of apparent excellence because it is so well adorned and decorated. Sometimes it look good, it smell good, it tastes good, it feel good, but is it good? The middle ground is one where we often shy away because we see ourselves as that middle ground individual. And on the two extremes of us is the highly achieved and the underachieved. And from appearances, we sometimes judge the highly achieved individual as an underachiever, somebody who has nothing and is going nowhere, where because we judge them by the way they are dressed, the way they stand, the way they look, but they have the ingredients, the tools, the direction, the help that we need. And so, by being a deliberate thinker, we have an open mind where we hold conversations with people from all walks of life. We do not judge. We take life from a point of curiosity. We have unconditional positive regard for everyone because we do not know who hold the key to our success, who hold the path and the light that shines down the path that we desire to go. Never judge a book by its cover. Open its pages. Shine the light in. Engage yourself with the content that individual has. Do not read the first page and the last page because you will miss out on all the good substance that's in the middle. Break free of habitual thoughts judging the book by the cover. Let go of beliefs that this is right and that is wrong. Have you heard the saying, there are more than one way to skin a cat? There are more than one way to skin a cat. Some persons may begin at the tail, others may begin at the head, others may begin at the midsection. And there is a method to every madness. But you must be willing to determine what works best for you. Yes, the example of others are sometimes beneficial, but do not take one method as the only way, because there are a million ways that you can do one thing. It's what works best for you. And whether there is any harm in doing the way or taking the path that you choose. Therefore, it is important that you remain alert and keep an open mind. Never assume. Can you spell the word assume? A-S-S-U-M-E. And you know, when you go into a dictionary to help you pronounce words that are unfamiliar, they often would put a little hyphen within the syllabus of a word. And I invite you right now to break the word assume into syllables. The first segment of the word is ASS hyphen U hyphen ME. Assume ASS hyphen U hyphen ME. And when we make assumptions, that's exactly what we do. We should never assume. We should never judge. We should approach life from a point of curiosity and keep a mind of openness. Whatever is your ritual, whatever is your habit, always believe that there is a better way. There is no one way. There is no best way. There is no wrong way. The only wrong comes when there is harm resulting from the choice that you make. And you do not call it wrong, you call it a misguided direction or a mistake. And you pick up and you turn around, you make some adjustments, because that is how success is achieved. Few people achieve success on the first go, whether it's the invention of something, whether it's a relationship with someone, whether it is the creation of something that has already been made and there is a guidebook or a recipe for reconstructing it. Many persons have a recipe before them to make a cake or make a drink, and when they make it, 12 different persons, there are 12 different variations to the outcome. There is no one right way. So do not beat yourself up if you are not successful. If at first you don't succeed, try again. Success sometimes comes after the 3rd, 7th, 11th, 21st try. But never stop learning. Thought becomes things. When you give up on the first or even the 3rd try and you think, I am not worthy, I am not capable, you are creating failure for yourself. Thought become things. Think positively. Believe in yourself. I conclude this segment this morning with a scripture text that says, seek and you will find. Keep an open mind. Keep seeking and you will find. And if you find and you feel that there is better, keep seeking, because there is always better. Whatever you believe, except in failure, you can achieve. Then knock. Knock and the door will be open unto you. And if after 5 minutes there is no opening, keep knocking, because sometimes things are slow. The person on the other side might be testing your patience. They may be testing your endurance. They may be testing how badly you want to succeed. And if you give up after the first or second or third knock, what happens? You lose out. Patience, perseverance, all comes through dedication of time, commitment to time, patience. And then, thirdly, the text says, ask, and it shall be given unto you. Do not allow pride or the belief that if you ask, you will not receive. Ask, and you shall receive. You have to have faith, you have to believe, and you have to have confidence in yourself and in others. Thoughts will become things only when you seek, knock, ask, keep an open mind, never assume, keep learning, make yourself a lifelong learner. And remember, because something was this way yesterday, doesn't mean that it will be the same way today. Things are constantly changing. Things are getting better, even though they appear like they are getting worse. Thoughts. If you believe it's getting worse, it will become worse. If you believe it's getting better and you are patient as it evolves, as it reveals itself, as you grow in your weight process, it will get better. Your thoughts become the thing that you think. Think positively. Think possible. Think big. Think success, and it will be yours. I am Audrey Mellayne, your Mould Breaker Doc. My goal is to encourage you to believe in yourself, to believe in the positive things of life. For nothing is impossible if you believe. I encourage you to join me again next week for segment 9 on Focus on You. For the last 3 segments, we've been focusing on the thought processes, which is the mind component of the human existence. Mind, body, and spirit make us complete. The thought is so important, and the thought plays a part in our physical existence and in our spiritual health. And so the next 4 segments that takes us to the conclusion of this 12-part series will focus on the physical and spiritual components and how the mind, body, and spirit truly are interconnected and interdependent. You don't want to miss it. In the meantime, I invite you to go back and examine and listen to the first 7 segments of this series, because they will help you to understand the last 4 segments that will come over the next 4 weeks. My page, Mould Breaker Empowerment and Education International Network, is on Facebook, but the videos can also be found on Twitter and YouTube. Mould Breaker Empowerment and Education International Network. Here on Mould Breaker Empowerment Forum, the segments are geared towards helping you become a better version of yourself so that you can live your best life now. Thank you for joining me. Looking forward to seeing you again next week, same time, same place. Enjoy the rest of your day.